Hey there, Gemini. Welcome to your reading for September 2025. Gemini, I will tell you. First, you start here with this moon card. It says you will be guided through darkness. You have this griffin. It says honor and good luck. So that looks pretty good. What I was going to tell you is that before I started your reading, some days I sit here and I go right through my readings, right? I just do one after the other. Sometimes, like today, I got distracted and I ended up watching something over here on my computer. That was at 8 o'clock, so like an hour ago. You're actually the last reading that I have to do today, but I got distracted for like an hour before I did your reading. So it is popping into my head that you probably should be careful of getting distracted on something this month that you are working on. Now, one thing I will tell you is that Uranus goes retrograde in your sign. And which is kind of like good. Like I think that once we get to, for example, November, that you are going to feel kind of good about that. Not that Uranus is bad in your sign. Uranus actually loves being in Gemini. And, I probably have said this to you before, but Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury, your ruler. So Uranus is pretty happy in Gemini for the most part, and it is a good energy for you. I think a lot of your breakthroughs are going to come from Uranus and Gemini over the next several years, right? But what I will say is, again, I think that once we get to November, things it'll feel a little bit lighter because, again, I think it's November 7th that Uranus actually officially crosses back over into Taurus, right? Again, you might feel a little bit more focused and things like that. I just think it's because it's like an energy that you're used to is what's popping into my head. I think you are going to quickly get used to having Uranus in your sign as well. And again, like I said, Gemini doesn't particularly hate Uranus anyway, so, I think it is good for you. You have the King of Wands, Page of Cups, and the Queen of Pentacles. Yeah, I think you're making... I do feel good about this, by the way, Gemini, but I do feel like, sometimes, like, I don't think this is bad or good what I'm about to say. I think that, it's like sometimes before we start something, we build it up too much in our head, and that is what I'm really trying to spit out here. 9 of Swords, 8 of Swords. It's almost like you're making something out to be bigger than it actually is or harder than it actually is in your mind, like something that you want to do. And, like I said, I got distracted for like an hour before I did your reading today, which is fine. Today I actually have nothing going on today, so it's perfectly fine for me to just take my time, right? And that's the other thing, Gemini, is maybe instead of beating yourself up if you do get distracted, maybe you need to say that. Maybe you need to get distracted. Maybe you need to take a break. Maybe you need to allow yourself to go focus on something else for once, right? And so, might not be that big of a deal either, but at the same time, I think that if you are wanting to do anything in your life at this time, that, and again, that you're not getting started on, you might be making a bigger deal out of it than you need to and distracting yourself. So I would just be a little careful of that energy. Again, I don't want to make this out to be like something that it's bad or something, but just something to pay attention to. I also do feel you could be attracting love. You've been getting love in your readings, and I'm pretty sure it's been a fire sign or a water sign that's been showing up for you, and you have both in this reading. You have fire and you have the Knight of Cups at the end. And actually, you have the Page of Cups right here, right? So next, you have the Page of Cups. Could be a fire sign, could be a water sign, could be a water with fire with water. I don't care. Find a good person, right? As I always say. And I feel that you could find a really good person here if you're looking for love. I would say it's probably someone who's a little bit of a visionary. King of Wands with the 8 of Wands. This would be someone who's like very focused. Usually King of Wands, 8, like if we were to pretend that was a person, those two cards together would be a person who has a direction that they're moving in life. So it would not be a lost person. It would not be a person who is clueless. It would not be a person who doesn't know where they're going, right? It would be a person who's like, I'm doing this in my life, right? So very focused energy. I think it's also interesting that you go down to the judgment as well. It's like this, judgment I look at as, purpose, but I think a better way to think about judgment is it's about like taking actions to live on purpose, right? This would not be a person who like lets things happen to them. They probably happen in life. The funny thing is I feel like you are becoming that type of person as well. Whether you want love or not, doesn't matter. There is definitely something about this first row that is saying to me, to you, Gemini, that like I feel like you are seeing examples right now that you will love. And, again, I think we can look at people and love them, not as in love, but we love them, the energy of love, right? And so I don't know, I'm getting a lot of messages off of this first row. But, again, I think for all of you, it would be a great time to look for like mentors, living examples, people that you have admiration for, right? Maybe that's a good word to use with this Page of Cups. Because I think that, again, I think the reflection that you're seeing right now is that people are showing you what it means to like live on purpose. It's like, sometimes you see a person who does something and you really admire it, right? You're like, wow, I really admire that person was able to do X, Y, Z. I would be looking for those examples. I don't know, it's popping into my head as important. You have the Queen of Pentacles, a lot of Queen of Pentacles energy this month. It is actually kind of a good month for money. I think money is a little funny right now, and this will continue until 2026. I've been saying this since 2016. Mark my words. Money will change at the beginning of 2026 or somewhere around there, right at end of 2025, beginning of 2026. Mark my words, there will be some sort of financial thing that happens in the world. Hopefully it's positive. Hopefully. But what I would say is that then starting in 2026, there could be a transition that could take years, obviously. But, I think it's pretty freaking obvious. But Neptune rules anything that flows. Again, I've been saying this since 2016 because of Neptune and Pisces. I used to talk about the end of Neptune and Pisces all the time. Neptune's currently retrograding towards Pisces right now. It's not there yet, but it will be there soon enough. And so we get one more hit of Neptune and Pisces before in January of next year, it will officially leave Pisces. That's probably, at the beginning of next year is kind of my theory when we could see some actual financial change, in the world. But it's, what does that look like? I have no clue. But, anyway, what I'm trying to say here is that, again, money looks kind of good this month. I think that it's that's where I was going with that. Is that Saturn is retrograding into Pisces as well. So Saturn retrogrades into Pisces this month. And, I think that Saturn entering into Pisces could also, like, if you pick something to finish financially, like a project or something that could make you money, that would be a good thing. The other thing I've been begging people to do is pick things that are long-term, right? It would not be a good time to start something like a get-rich-quick scheme, of course, but it would be a good time if you're going to build something over a long period of time. That's where your success will come from. And, again, Queen of Pentacles is Capricorn. Saturn rules Capricorn, right? Just, connecting all these dots here. I think that there could be a lot of, potential success if you put in the work. With the King of Wands, you have the Page of Swords. I do think maybe a person has their eye on you. This has come up for you before. Like I said, that there is a person that I think maybe this could be two people that have their eye on each other. For some of you, for others, it's like maybe you have their eye on them and vice versa. So definitely could be a new person that's coming in for you. With the Page of Cups, yes, you have the Knight of Pentacles. But, like everybody else, work has to be put in. It's so weird that it is kind of funny to me that it is a good time for love. But, like, literally every single sign that I read for, there is some sort of something, getting in the way of, like, two people coming together. It's not really it's getting in the way. I think it's that people need to start, right? And so maybe you just need to say you're open for business. I'm open for love, right? And I think doing that could be good. Knight of Pentacles, he has those empty fields behind him. Again, he's building something long-term. So just like everybody else, I would be working on something long-term this month. With the Queen of Pentacles, you have the Queen of Pentacles. I think there are a lot of good opportunities for you to correct things financially as well. We go up to the Nine of Swords, to the Seven of Wands. I actually feel pretty good about this. I do not like the Nine of Swords. I consider it to be the worst card in the tarot, personally. He is in Groundhog's Day. Hell. Though he is having a nightmare, he's waking up, he's stuck in that nightmare, but he's not doing anything to change the situation. But again, I read intuitively. I feel pretty good about this for you. If you have been having some sort of financial nightmare, I feel like you are, kind of like breaking it down and coming up with better ways. We'll talk more about this as we go in this direction throughout the reading. But it's almost like I see you breaking something down. Sometimes I think if we have too much going on in life, it is a total distraction. If we have too many moving parts, too many issues, but also good things and bad things, right? You can have good things happening and still it can not really cause a problem, but it can be, you could feel like, I need to kind of like reorganize my time a little bit here or something. I kind of get that feeling for you here, Gemini, where it does, like, this doesn't have to be bad. Maybe you think things are going well, but at the same time, maybe you're realizing that there are certain other things that you also have to do, but you don't have time. And I feel you could be kind of doing a lot of like shifting time, which makes sense. Again, Saturn retrograde. Saturn is time. Whenever Saturn goes retrograde, we can experience issues with time. Plus, I've been talking about this for weeks. We're getting blasted by the Schumann resonance and everything. So there's like weird stuff going on with time. And it's definitely popping into my head that some of you might be noticing weird stuff with time. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you, you have this wave of emotions. It says, a new experience will enter your life that will stir a wave of emotions within you. You have this enchanted illusions. It says, see through the veil of illusion and have the courage to see things as they really are. Every single person has had a message similar to that. We're in a time of truth. And again, these two eclipses we're having this month, also important. One in Pisces on the 7th, one in Virgo on the 21st of September. There is something about the truth with both of them. I think both of them could be exposing certain truths. I think both of them, could be making us aware of certain truths, probably about ourselves, really, in some ways. Like, again, where we're wasting time, where we need more time, where we're running out of time. We could be having a lot of those feelings. And, I would just be paying attention, just in general. I do think that there could be a person that kind of like stirs a wave of emotions. So if you're looking for love, looks pretty good. You have the Eight of Wands, the Knight of Swords, and the Eight of Swords. The Eight of Wands is quick success or quick conclusion. Again, I'm telling you, if you want love, I definitely feel there's communication. I feel like you could meet this person through socializing. It could even be social media. I don't normally say that, but the Eight of Wands is my card of socializing, even though that's not technically what it represents. But I don't know. Whatever. Get over it if you don't like it, right? But I also feel social media here. So you could be communicating with a person that you meet on social media or something like that. I don't think it's kind of funny because it's popping into my head that you do not meet a person like traditionally. It's like there's something not traditional about this. So take that how it resonates. Obviously, also, I think it's going to be a very communicative month for you, Gemini. I think we've talked about your chattiness before, right? And Gemini is considered chatty. I'm a Gemini moon. I think I told you a couple weeks ago, my brother said that I was being chatty. I was just trying to have a conversation. I don't, what the hell's the issue here, right? But anyway, again, I think that Gemini is going to be much more chatty over the next several months. Now, here's the thing. Your mouth is your superpower, Gemini, and so I would be using it, for sure. Your brain and your mouth, both, right? So I would be using your mouth right now for sure. Any of you that want to start anything involving communication, involving like starting a podcast, a YouTube channel, writing even would be a good thing for you. How you communicate with the world would be a good thing to think about as well. I really think this Uranus retrograde energy could be kind of letting you reinvent how you communicate. And again, we communicate with more than our words. We communicate with how we dress, how we look, what the things that we say, everything, right? And so, I just think, I don't think you have to be crazy about this, but, I would be thinking about it. This really could lead to like even a reinvention, if you want to be seen as more confident or whatever, those are all things I'd be working on. You have the Knight of Swords. Again, I feel pretty good about this. We'll see what happens when we clarify it, but I feel pretty good because I got the word like planning. It's almost like I feel like you're not just sitting here suffering, which is usually the problem with the Nine of Swords. It's like being in pain, but he's doing nothing about it. And so again, I feel pretty good about it actually. Like I still don't feel good about it, but I feel like you're fixing the situation is what I should say. So I'm not too worried about this. It seems to me like you're coming up with a plan. That's the best word that I could give you. So there you go. You have the Eight of Swords. Again, usually not an issue with Gemini that we see, the Eight of Swords, because, the Eight of Swords is only seeing one way of doing things. And now, normally Gemini is a very good at seeing all the angles. Now, what I've been telling people lately, and I think this is for longer than just this month, for many years into the future, I think we should all be like 3D scanners, basically. It's like, we have to realize that everything that we can choose to look at, it doesn't just have two sides. Like, this card doesn't have just two sides. It has an edge. But also, if I were to look, like, let's pretend I made this card 30 feet tall. If I were to look at it from this perspective, it would look different to me than if I were to look at it from over here. It would look different from the back as well if I were to look at it from different perspectives, right? So I think this is a little crazy, but I think what we all need to do is anything we're working on, anything we want, basically anything we're dealing with, it's like we need to scan things, I think. We need to like be like a 3D scanner where we scan it all the way around. We look at all the different perspectives. And Gemini, this is your superpower as well. So, I think it would be a great time for you to do that. Why is it important? I have no freaking clue, but it's been popping up into my head that we need to be able to do that. We need to be able to look at all the different angles of everything that we're dealing with in life, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And if we do that, I don't know, I just think it's like, I think I said to someone else that I feel like the universe wants us to become like Swiss Army knives. It's like the universe wants us to give ourselves more tools. And, I think that's a good way to do it. With the Eight of Wands, you have the Hermit. Yes, like I said, maybe you've been in hermit mode. Maybe, and now you're kind of like being more chatty, your typical Gemini self. And I feel that would be good for you. I also think it's time to speak up. One thing I will say is also the fact that Saturn and Neptune went retrograde in Aries, and the fact that next year in January and February, both planets move back into Aries. I think it's no coincidence that's happening at the same time. Saturn and Aries especially requires us to be loud. We have to speak up. We have to speak our mind, and we have to be willing to share the things we're afraid to share. The thing about Neptune and Aries is that everybody is going to want to believe one thing. Neptune and Aries is like looking for a savior, which is the challenge with Neptune and Aries, is that we have to save ourselves. No one's coming to save us. And so really the trick with Neptune and Aries is to find your own answers. We can learn from people, but, again, I've been saying to people that really I think, the quote, trust but verify is a great quote to live by for the next 20 years is basically, at least. Do your research, learn things from people, but don't just take it as gospel, right? And, that's what I would pay attention to here. There's a million things going on. We have this magical triangle as well between Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto that's going to last until 2028. A magical triangle is the top of a kite, basically in astrology, and it's lasting for a very extended period of time. And with those planets, it is like trust but verify. So, again, I think everybody needs to do this. With the Nine of Swords, you have the Knight of Swords. It's kind of funny because I kind of almost said the Knight of Swords on the Nine of Swords, if you heard me. Knight of Swords says do not rush, so definitely not a good month for rushing energy. With the Eight of Swords, you have the Judgment card. I think it's a good time to live on purpose for you, Gemini. It's like, to do things that you want to do on purpose with your life, It's not so much about your purpose or, it's not so much about you necessarily, like, living your purpose. I think it's more about you, doing things on purpose. Like, you are the one that is choosing what to do in life and all that other good stuff. Next, in the area of messages from your future self, here you go. You have this love card and the success card. Yeah, I do think love could be very successful for you here, Gemini. I feel like I said this to you recently, although I might have dreamt it, but, I kind of like have this feeling that you're actually finally attracting a person that you are actually attracted to. It's like, it's like one of those things where sometimes in life, I think maybe we go through a phase where it's like we could be attracted to a person, but it's like we just aren't getting that one person that we really want. And I don't know, I just feel like you're getting a person that you really want right now. So I don't know, that feels good. Obviously that could be a good thing. You have the Seven of Wands, the Fool, and the Page of Wands. Seven of Wands is a card of conviction. Seven of Wands says when you know that something is for you, when you believe it deep down inside, whatever it is, then it's for you. And again, your beliefs are going to be important. Judgment. There's something about doing things on purpose. It's like if you say you're going to do something, like do it. But I think the only person that you have to be a person of your word to is yourself with that Judgment card. It's like, I think you have these ideas, these plans. I keep getting the word plans on the Nine of Swords. And it's like, I think you need to become a person of your word to you. Like, you need to say, I am the type of person that lives this way. Whatever that is for you. And you need to, like, claim it, And I don't know, I hope that makes sense. You have the Fool. Fool's about taking a leap of faith. I do think it would be an amazing time for you to take a leap of faith in a new direction in your life, whatever that new direction is. I feel like you're ready. I feel like you're just ready for new things. Next year, whatever it is that... when Uranus enters back into your sign, I think, really I would say March basically is going to be a really good time for you. That doesn't mean that things are going to be bad between now and then. I just, I think that, a lot of you are kind of in this planning stage with the Nine of Swords for whatever reason. I keep wanting to say that. But again, I also think you're going to be taking action. I think you're going to be getting results on things that you're building between now and then. But I just feel that like March is going to be an important month for you next year. And basically we'll see what happens. But I think it's time for you to get started. You have the Page of Wands. Time to have more fun as well. Eight of Wands, right? Eight of Wands is socializing, and it definitely popped into my head that maybe you need to socialize more, enjoy yourself more, do more things that you love to do. I think that would be great for you, Gemini. And, it's definitely something I would do. Yeah, with the Seven of Wands, you have the Page of Wands. Again, same thing. I think you need to commit. Really, in a weird way, too, this reading is saying you need to commit to yourself, right? Like, you could be committing to another person, but I think the reading is saying you need to commit to, like, what you want to do on purpose, And I would think about that. With the Fool, you have the Five of Wands. Yeah, a lot. Here's the problem: is between now and like 2028, like with that magical triangle, there are going to be people who say, "Don't do this, don't do that. This is dangerous. This hurts my feelings when you do this." Blah 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 blah. It's not about the fact that it's not that we shouldn't care about other people, but again, sometimes I think that if what we do affects another person, sometimes it means that they are too involved in our life, right? It's like if someone is saying, I need you to behave this way so I can be okay, they need to go get a life, right? Because nothing we can do can change another person. They have to change themselves. And so I think that is maybe going to be one of your challenges here, Gemini, is that you might encounter people who are like, oh, but if you leave college, or if you do this, or if you make this big change, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. It's like those are the things you should probably ignore because you have to live your own life, right? And that's like the conflict I feel you could be experiencing. With the Page of Swords, you have Page of Wands, sorry, you have the Two of Swords. You are going to be the master of third place solutions over the next several years. So I think this is a very good card for Gemini, actually. I always say she's thinking this or that, but really she has this new option behind her. This is my card of third place solutions. I believe third place solutions are going to save the world. This is why I beg people to bring them into the world, because we have to fill the world with better ideas. Clearly, right now there are a bunch of bad ideas going on everywhere, right? And so I think the only way we can fix it is that we have to be the ones to bring good ideas into the world. And the government's not going to save us. Aliens aren't necessarily going to save us or anything like that. We have to be the ones. The ideas have to come from us, right? And so that's what I would say there. There you go. Next, in the area of the good stuff, you have this Patience card and this Beauty Elevates card. So I think you have been very patient. I actually feel there could be some rewards coming in for you this month that you have been patiently waiting for. I also think that focusing on quality would be a good thing for you, is what I'm getting on that Beauty Elevates card as well. You have the Death card, the Knight of Cups, and the Judgment card. Death can, of course, represent a big change or transformation. I do feel that there could be some positive changes coming in for you here with the Death card. I'm not really getting much here other than just change. Like a lot of changes, Gemini. You have the Knight of Cups. Knight of Cups can, of course, be a knight in shining armor. So if you are looking for love, this reading looks great. I do think it is a great time for love for pretty much everyone. But, again, I would, it looks to me like socializing probably. And, you Hermit, Eight of Wands, it's like you have to get out into the world to meet a person. So I would definitely do it in public. I think that's a better place anyway. A better way to meet a person. Meet a person who does things, basically. And I think that could be very helpful. Could also be social media, so maybe the opposite of what I just said to make this more confusing, but, whatever. You have the Judgment card. Again, I think your mantra this month should be on purpose. It basically, what I mean by that is if you want to do something, say, I am going to go do this, and then do it, right? That's what I mean by on purpose. It's like you're doing things, you're really taking control of your life. And there's something about planning as well. Like, I think it would be a good time to come up with a plan with that Nine of Swords. It's like sometimes I wonder if the Nine of Swords is like a mountain, like just like a minor obstacle in your life where it's like not really a big deal, but it's kind of like a pain in the ass, right? And it's like something that you don't want to think about. I'll give you a great example. I live in a nice big house, and now my brother is moving out. He's moving in with his Pisces girlfriend, and so he's moving out, and I'm going to be in this house all alone. And like I technically I can move out of here in May, and I'm like, do I want to stay? What do I want to do? It's like like, should I stay? Should I go? What do I want to do? I don't know. But the point is, this week I started packing because I was like, you know what? There are plenty of things that I could pack up right now that I don't use. And whether I decide to stay or decide to go won't matter, right? But it will make my life easier. It's like I'm climbing the mountain now, even though I have like over 6 months before I even have to make a decision, right? And so, I don't know. That's kind of like popping into my head here. Is that like, you don't have to go crazy, but, maybe taking a couple of steps would be a good idea. It might make your life a lot easier. So, there you go. You have the death card. You have with the death card, you have the hangman. Yeah, I mean, again, another one of your superpowers. Again, seeing things all the way around. Seeing the different perspectives is going to be good for you, Gemini. With the Knight of Cups, you have the Page of Pentacles. Yeah, it could be a new person for sure. This Page of Pentacles is also my card of news and communication. So definitely like communication with a person at the very least. You could start talking to a new person here. With the Judgment card, you have the Fool, which you have twice here. Yes, definitely time for you to take some sort of leap of faith here, Gemini, in a new direction. I think that also the Fool can say that, anything you're wanting to get started on, like I just said, it would be a good time for you to, just get started, right? You have this Power card. Power is going to be a big word over the next many years, especially with the energy in Aries, for sure. I think we're going to see a lot of power struggles. We already are seeing a lot of power struggles, but we are also, Pluto has gone from Capricorn to Aquarius. Government is dead. So it's like there's going to be significant power shifts over the next many years. It's going to be a major theme, mark my words. And, what does it look like? I have no freaking clue. Hopefully it's good. You have this versatility card. Again, this card is the Sun in Gemini. This is the Oracle of the Radiant Sun, this deck, and each card represents an astrological placement. So this is actually your card, and you are very versatile. I think I would use your superpowers. I really do think, by the way, for those of you that want to do something like talking, it could be very good for you. Like I said, you could start a podcast, you could start reading tarot, right? You could start doing anything. You have this intuition card. Yes, I do think your intuition is absolutely on fire right now. So I would be trusting your inner messages, right? You have this indecision card. This card always says to me that your higher self is like trying to get your attention. It's like she's over here. She's not really looking at this like angel or whatever that's trying to get her attention. So I do feel like if you are feeling lost or not sure what to do, you are getting answers, but maybe you have to look a little bit harder or something. You have this adaptability card. Yeah, again, I think just embracing your Gemini self is all you need to do at this time, and you will be very successful. But I really like this for you, Gemini. It looks really good. So thank you for being here, and definitely enjoy your week.